OK, next, Openreach. From BT, it's responsible for maintaining the vast majority of the UK's telecom infrastructure, meaning tens of millions of us rely on Openreach to install and maintain our landlines and internet. In the words of Openreach, if something major went wrong with its network, the nation would grind to a shuddering halt. Yet, the company we all rely on to keep the country connected won't take calls about installation, it won't take inquiries about how long it's keeping you waiting, and it certainly won't take complaints.
Openreach. With a workforce of over 25,000 engineers and 120 million kilometres of cabling, its influence spreads far and wide. And even if you choose someone else to provide your phone and internet, the majority of us still need to put our faith in Openreach. Here's how the company explains the setup.
Have you seen one of our vans? We look after the wires that connect your home or business to the service provider you buy your phone, broadband, or even TV services from.
So even if your package isn't with BT, you're probably still dependent on Openreach doing all the engineering to get that service to your doorstep. In 2003, the government introduced legislation that made a telephone connection with at least functional internet access a person's legal right. Now, for that to happen, Openreach has to be at the top of its game. Yet time and time again, we are being told it's simply not up to the job. Ed Morris moved into this new-build home in rural Aberdeenshire in June, paying BT Residential £160 upfront for a year's worth of line rental. He was told Openreach would connect his landline and internet the day he moved in.
The afternoon came and went, and there was no Openreach engineer. And to put it in context, in our personal situation, when we moved in, my wife was 5 months pregnant, and obviously as time's going by, it's not safe really for her to have been in that condition and here in the house alone without a reliable communication.
So even though he was promised he could be fitted for phone and internet, it turned out the infrastructure wasn't actually ready. Over the course of the next 4 months, Ed received numerous visits from Openreach engineers and was given various excuses about why his property couldn't be connected. Eventually, the company decided it needed to lay a new cable from a junction box outside the house to the local network exchange 1.3 miles away. Yet even though it now knows what needs to be done, Openreach still hasn't done it.
As of this point in time, I'm yet to receive a date for connection. There's no way around it. There's no other alternative. So they have us over a barrel. There is no impetus we can bring.
Now, you might be wondering if Edward's difficulties were because he lives in the countryside. Perhaps his problems only exist in rural locations. So how do Openreach perform in a more urban environment, like, say, one of the greatest, most technologically advanced cities in the world? Welcome to London. Bootmakers Court near Stepney Green opened its doors to around 80 shiny new-build apartments back in June. And Kingsley Spence was one of the excited new residents who moved in. Like Ed, he'd bought an internet package through BT and was expecting an engineer round on the 1st of July to connect him. But 6 weeks and 3 Openreach appointments later, he was still waiting.
The final 4th time, I phoned BT and they promised there would be an engineer on our property. And I even phoned them the day before. And they still promised that there would be an engineer that day. And nobody turned up.
You must have been very frustrated.
We were so upset with this whole process that we decided to cancel our connection with BT and go through a new service provider.
Hoping that switching to a new company would hurry the process along, Kingsley signed up to PlusNet. But he soon realised that the providers are just as powerless as the customers. So you're now waiting for Openreach again? You're back to square one?
We're back to square one. No matter which service provider you go through, you always have an issue. At present, we feel helpless. There's very little information coming out of Openreach, and we can't get in contact with them. So there's nothing we can do.
The reason you can't contact Openreach? It has a policy of not talking to customers, expecting the individual providers to handle all queries and correspondence. In total, at least 34 people who have moved in since June are still waiting for Openreach to connect their phone lines and internet, and not one of them is able to complain to the company directly. This is Kingsley's neighbour, Russell Milburn. He paid his provider, Zen, £164 upfront for a service that has never worked.
Every date that I've been given has been put back, every single day, without fail. And so that I'm sort of a bit stuck, really. So it's a bit upsetting, frustrating and annoying. It has now emerged that in order for us to get connected to the internet, BT Openreach has to come and perform duct work. That basically means that they dig up the road and connect one wire to another wire.
And when do you think this work will be done? Tomorrow? Next week? By Christmas? Nope. Openreach have now announced it won't be finished until February 2015, by which time Russell and Kingsley will have had no phone line and been without the internet for over 7 months. Two different properties, two different parts of the country, the same problem, Openreach. And it doesn't stop there. We've heard from 32 others in the last 2 months who've also blamed Openreach for their delays in getting connected. After complaints from service providers and hundreds of customers, Ofcom has taken steps to force improvements, setting targets for acceptable waiting times for installation and repairs that Openreach must hit by next year. But while the country waits for BT to meet those targets, customers will continue to suffer. But isn't there a simpler solution to all this? If Openreach can't do its job properly, shouldn't someone who can be given the chance?
The issue really is to make it expensive for Openreach to fail to meet customer expectations. And the way you do that is by opening up the ability to do the work to other organisations, maybe the service providers themselves, maybe a third-party organisation that could come in and do the work when Openreach isn't actually achieving what it needs to achieve. Somebody else can come in and serve the customer's needs, then Openreach will either be forced to do better or lose business.
Giles Long reporting there. Well, I'm pleased to say the wait appears to be over for the people in our film. Despite months of delays, Ed's house in Aberdeenshire has now been connected. Openreach has also told us that the 34 flats in Stepney Green will have their landlines and internet in a few weeks, not next February, as it said before Watchdog got involved. We received this photo yesterday from a resident, which does appear to show work getting underway, so good news there. Openreach accepts responsibility for the delays we've highlighted and says it will use the lessons learned to try and do better in the future. It also says it's taken on 2,400 new engineers in the last 6 months to work towards the same goal. It sets up a dedicated website for customers who are having trouble getting their new build properties connected. The address is on your screens now.
And make no mistake, it's a huge step forward. It actually means for the first time you can talk directly to Openreach about delays.